There is a river in Africa that travels for more than 1,000 kilometers and never reaches the sea. It crosses borders. It carries rainwater out of distant highlands. It enters one of the driest regions on Earth. And then, almost impossibly, it disappears. Not beneath the ground, not over a waterfall, but into a desert. This is Botswana. A country where water arrives in the middle of the dry season, where elephants sometimes outnumber people on the roads, where villages live beside animals powerful enough to destroy a harvest in a single night, where ancient paintings have survived on desert rocks for thousands of years, and where one of Africa's most remarkable modern economies was built from stones pulled out of the earth. Most rivers end in an ocean. The Okavango does something very different. After flowing south from the Angolan highlands, its water enters the flat sands of northern Botswana and spreads into an enormous network of lagoons, reed beds, islands, and floodplains. There is no coastline waiting for it. No sea, no final mouth. UNESCO describes the Okavango as one of the world's rare major inland delta systems that does not flow into an ocean, and according to NASA, only a tiny fraction of its water eventually leaves the delta. Most is consumed by vegetation or returned to the sky through evaporation. A river comes here to vanish, and yet, before it disappears, it creates one of the greatest concentrations of life on the African continent. But Botswana is more than the photographs of lions, elephants, and luxury safari camps shown to the outside world. So what is it actually like to live in a country where almost everything depends on water, in a land defined by its absence? What happens when the flood does not arrive as expected? How do people share their home with some of the largest wild animals left on Earth? And why, after all the water disappears, do people continue building their lives here? To understand Botswana, we begin at the place where the desert waits for a river. At the edge of the Okavango sits Man. To outsiders, it is known as the gateway to the delta. Safari vehicles leave from here. Small aircraft rise into the sky, carrying visitors toward remote camps. But for thousands of people, Man is simply home. Life here moves between two worlds. There are supermarkets, schools, mechanics, hotels, and busy roads. But only a short distance away begins one of the wildest landscapes remaining on Earth. And everything revolves around water. The strange thing is that Botswana's Great Flood does not begin with rain falling here. Months earlier, rain falls hundreds of kilometers away in Angola. That water slowly travels south. By the time it reaches Botswana, the local rainy season may already be over. So while much of the country becomes dry, the Okavango begins to fill. Channels expand, grasslands flood, animals move toward the water, and places that were dry weeks earlier can suddenly become wetlands. In Botswana, the arrival of water can completely redraw the landscape. To understand the delta, you have to leave the road behind. Here, one of the traditional ways of traveling is by mokoro, a long, narrow canoe guided through shallow water with a pole. There is no engine. Sometimes almost no sound, only birds, insects, water moving against the boat, and the occasional noise of something much larger hidden inside the reeds. From this level, the Okavango feels completely different. Papyrus rises above you. Small channels turn without warning. An elephant can disappear behind vegetation only meters away. And the people guiding these boats are not simply steering. They are reading the landscape, water depth, animal tracks, wind, vegetation, and the safest route through a wetland that changes constantly. For generations, these channels were not tourist attractions. They were roads. People fished here, moved between communities, collected plants, and built their lives around the rhythm of the flood. Today, the Okavango remains home to extraordinary wildlife: elephants, hippos, crocodiles, buffalo, antelope, lions, and hundreds of species of birds. But humans are part of this landscape too, and sharing a home with wildlife is not always as peaceful as it appears from the air. As the sun begins to fall, another Botswana appears. Around some villages in northern Botswana, elephants can move close to homes. They search for water, food, and routes they have followed for generations. For visitors, seeing an elephant in the wild can be unforgettable. For someone whose crops are beside that elephant, the experience is very different. A single herd can damage a field in one night. Predators can threaten livestock. Families must sometimes protect cattle and crops while living beside animals that conservation programs are also trying to protect. This creates one of Botswana's most difficult questions. How do you protect wildlife while also protecting the people who live beside it? Tourism is one part of the answer. Botswana has built an international reputation around high-value wilderness tourism. Wildlife creates jobs. Guides, drivers, pilots, camp workers, craft producers, and local businesses can all benefit. But the relationship remains complicated. A line on a map may separate a protected area from a village. An elephant does not understand that line. For people living here, conservation is not simply about protecting beautiful animals. It is about learning how humans and wildlife can occupy the same landscape. Farther west, the landscape changes again. Out of the flat Kalahari rise the Sodilo Hills. For thousands of years, humans have lived around these rocks, and across their surfaces, they left something behind. Paintings, animals, human figures, symbols, stories whose complete meanings may never be known. Thousands of rock paintings have been recorded here. For local San and Hambukushu communities, these hills are far more than an archaeological site. They are connected to culture, spirituality, memory, and identity. Sodilo reveals something important about Botswana. The desert may appear empty, but it is not. People have crossed these landscapes for thousands of generations. They learned where water could be found, which plants could be used, how animals moved, and how to survive in an environment that outsiders might consider impossible. Botswana's landscape is not simply wilderness, it is also an archive of human survival. Then there is Makadigadi. At first, it seems almost lifeless. A flat white landscape stretching toward the horizon. Heat, salt, sky, and almost nothing else. But this desert was once very different. Long ago, A vast lake covered much of this region. The lake eventually disappeared. What remained were enormous salt pans. During the dry season, they can look like another planet. Then rain arrives. Water collects across parts of the pans. Grass begins growing. Animals return. Zebra and wildebeest move through the surrounding landscape. And flamingos may appear where months earlier there seemed to be almost nothing. Again, Botswana reverses expectations. A desert becomes a wetland. A salt pan becomes a temporary lake. A dry season receives water from a distant flood. Here, survival depends on understanding that conditions never remain the same for long. In northern Botswana lies another extraordinary landscape, Chobe. And here, Botswana's giants gather. Elephants emerge from the woodland in large family groups. Adults lead calves toward the river. Dust-covered animals step into the water. Some drink. Others swim. Young elephants play along the banks. Botswana is home to one of Africa's most important elephant populations, and Chobe has become famous for seeing them in extraordinary numbers. But their presence also reminds us how much space wildlife requires. Elephants need water, vegetation, and freedom to move across enormous distances. That movement can bring them into conflict with farms and settlements. So the future of these animals depends not only on national parks, it also depends on the communities living beside them. Botswana's conservation story is impressive, but its greatest challenge may be making sure that protecting wildlife also improves the lives of the people who share the land with it. Hundreds of kilometers south, Botswana feels completely different. This is Gaborone, the capital. Traffic replaces wildlife trails. Shopping centers replace floodplains. Offices, universities, construction sites, and expanding suburbs reveal another side of the country. Modern Botswana was transformed by something found beneath its soil: diamonds. When Botswana became independent in 1966, it had limited infrastructure and a small economy. Diamond discoveries changed its future. Revenue from mining helped build roads, schools, hospitals, and government institutions. Over time, Botswana became one of Africa's most notable development stories. But diamonds also created dependence. Today, the country is working to build more opportunities beyond mining. Tourism, technology, agriculture, renewable energy, new businesses, and even here, far from the Okavango, the same question returns: water. Botswana remains a dry country. Drought is a constant threat. Growing cities require reliable supplies, and the contrast is striking. In the north, enormous amounts of water spread across the desert and disappear. In the south, every reliable drop must be carefully managed. And eventually, we return to the Okavango. From above, it looks endless. Blue channels cross green islands. Elephants walk through shallow water. Birds rise above the reeds. Everything seems permanent. But the water is already disappearing. Some is absorbed by vegetation. Some enters the ground. Much of it returns to the atmosphere beneath the African sun. Very little ever leaves the delta. The river never reaches the sea. But before it disappears, it creates life. It feeds animals, plants, communities, tourism, and one of the most remarkable ecosystems on Earth. Perhaps that is the best way to understand Botswana. This is a country shaped by things that constantly change. Water arrives. Water disappears. Rain fails. Grass returns. Animals migrate. Lakes vanish. Cities grow. And people adapt. At Sodilo, ancient paintings remain, while generations change around them. At Makadikgadi, salt remembers a lake that disappeared long ago. In Chobe, elephants continue following routes older than the towns surrounding them. And across the Okavango, a river comes to the desert every year without ever reaching an ocean. The river disappears, but the life it creates remains. This is Botswana, a country where the desert waits for water and where people have learned to wait with it. If you enjoyed discovering this side of Botswana, subscribe and continue exploring how people live in some of the world's most remarkable places. And tell us in the comments, if you could visit one place in Botswana, would you choose the Okavango Delta, the elephants of Chobe, or the endless landscapes of the Kalahari? Until the next journey.